Yeah, 1, 1961, the reissue of Tuli's fabulous Zine. Started in 1961, the era of the Beat Poets. Today, Revolting News is going to be showing you the very, very first issue called Yeah, 1. And here it is, with this astounding cover. And what does Tuli say to begin with? He says, I want to put the revolution at the service of poetry. I want Comrade Stalin to say, Tuli, tell me how to revive the bodies of my dead Ukrainian peasants with your magic words. I want Truman to recall Korean corpses with a haiku, and depressed areas of the diencephalon to come to karma with a verb of longing. Oh, outrageous notion, to cleanse life with a dream, to bloom beauty with a word. That is Tuli Kupferberg, editor, number 1, December 1961, Birth Press, 381 East 10th Street, New York, 9, New York. That was the start of a 10-series run, which has recently been reissued and is now available for sale. You can find it on Amazon, on the internet. I'm going to read you from it. First of all, we have poet Philip Allen Friedman. Who is he? Where is he? We don't know. Anyway, he lives on in Yeah 1, Betrayers of the Intellect. You animated afterbirths, vacillating brilliantly with your quota of filched verities, brocaded with a safe phrase. You intellectual masturbators, maneuvering dialectically with nothing put in that will not please, getting nothing out but self-praise. My rump to you, I fart in your face of your compromising cunning. Well, that's the Tuli spirit in 1961. As far back before that, way before the Fugs, Tuli was coming on like this. Now, next we have Mitchell Donian. And he says, this is a public letter of intent. I intend to marry you, if you will, or intend to make you hate me. Even more, if you will. I'll publish in the quarterlies scandalous remembrances of me with my tongue lolling in your mouth, where someone now looks up to see a smile. This is unrehearsed. I'm just reading this to you now as I'm reading it for the first time myself. So bear with me. I'm Thelma, Tuli's friend and producer currently of Revolting News. Amazing Grace. This is by Mason Jordan Mason. All these poets, we have no idea where they are or who they are now. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. My poor grandmammy always may. Today he'll give you hell, and tomorrow he'll take away your breath. That's what my poor grandmammy always say. Now, imagine this is the time of Howell, Allen Ginsberg, beat poetry readings in Greenwich Village. And Tuli was one. He was part of the beat scene, and his first issue of Yeah will give you some idea of what the poetry was like at that day. Song of One Reformed. I used to walk into bars boasting, I can lick anybody. But that was before I met this old cunt with cancer. And that's by R.E.L. Masters. Oh. Well, okay. Now, by Anthony Kay, we have Light Verses to the memory of Florence Foster Jenkins. If you know who that is, she's someone who performed opera kind of satirically with a very grating, horrible voice. I love to watch them tearing down fine old houses, friendly, hard-working men with crowbars, tease a scroll lintel till it dislodges, and falls and shatters the stone porch stairs. On the third floor back, where the maid slept, a daring man perched with a hammer knocks the brickwork in the 1850s, so intricately laced into the manor. Delicious fragments that carry out next, shovels full of colored glass and leading, shards of blackened fireplace tiles and marble, elegant spiral banisters, split like kindling. I love to breathe the dust of demolishing and hail the force and pattern and stream, chomping the pride and care of a mansion built to last and house and impress. Meanwhile, I hail the work of these workmen who bring into the dusty outside the whole comfy interior for me to see, who never was invited inside. Okay, now we have The Return by Anil Eastlick. Must have been The Village, 1961. The whole pain of the universe, breaking of bones a billion years, the shredding of hearts, and my own soul descending eternal space. Then the voice, too piteous to ignore, fixing my descent, calling me back. The small suffering child that had no eyes, something where the eyes should have been, tiny, pea-like white protuberances. They moved feebly from side to side, trying to see, to learn to see. I caught at the ledge of hope and climbed back into travail, for love of the child. Live with the child, trust it to science, nurture, and watch for eyes to appear. For I see them appearing, larger and clearer, lighted and beautiful, more beautiful than God. Okay, that's called The Return. Next, On the State of Poetry in England. It's by Harold Morland. Of course, said the professor, I'm prepared. Oh, quite prepared, and glad to help. In looking through your poems with suggestions. After all, I've 50 years of scholarship behind me. You were going to ask, this word necrophilia, sir, this love of the dead. I believe in ancient Egypt it was a rule for a young dead virgin to be stuffed with, well, not with embalming spices first of all. I can almost understand that, sir, but wouldn't it be a miracle beyond necrophilia if some dead virgin's hand should stroke to life, and the warmth of creative desire, the willing tool of Apollo? Now also he wrote, arson, it is better to marry than burn, said St. Paul. I can't understand it, Joe, just can't understand it. What she'd say in her own defense at the trial, a decent woman like that, and I'd never add so much as fellow's finger fumbling her button. What did she say? She raised them blazes just for the joy of seeing them strapping firemen wielding them great damn hose that gush she said. Oh well. Now we have Opus number 30712, and this is by Robert Blank, another unknown poet of the Village of 1961 that somehow Tuli knew. So, they were all sitting around doing nothing. "Entertain me," they cried. So, with one very subtle pink light lipstick softly drooping petal of a flower, and the darkened lights and arms and delicate hands caressing eager bodies, and the warmth of two mouths, tongues soft, delicious, emotions overwhelmed, they entertained themselves. I'll bet they did. Now this is all typewritten, and the typewritten is reproduced. You don't see typewriters anymore, but Tuli and Sylvia Top did bang away at typewriters and laid out this magazine, and it's all reproduced stunningly in the new box set. Well, on to the next. Now, the next is printed. This says, here we are, back to the Cold War. Lord Russell, who do not appear in court today, issued his plea against atomic arms through the Committee of 100. It was addressed to all in whatever country who are still capable of sane thinking and of human feeling. I am to be silenced for a time, perhaps forever, for who can tell how soon this great massacre will take place? The statement began. The population of East and West, misled by stubborn governments, in search of prestige, and corrupted by official experts bent on retaining their posts, tamely acquiesce in policies which are certain to end in nuclear war. It ended. This is the day of the Cold War. We're back there again, aren't we? Kennedy and Khrushchev, Adenauer and de Gaulle, Macmillan and Gates-Kyle are pursuing a common aim, the ending of human rights. You, your families, your friends, and your countries are to be exterminated by the common decision of a few brutal but powerful men. Does that sound familiar? Lord Russell said, to please these men, all the private affections, all the public hopes, all that has been achieved in art and knowledge and thought, and all that might be achieved thereafter, is to be wiped out forever. We're back to that again, aren't we? Well, now there are a lot of ads here which I won't read, and also this question, are you a bore? Let's see if we can get that on camera. Are you a bore? Asked ya. If you read ya, you won't be a bore. Okay. Next. Thank God it's a dirty dream. And this is by Faith Bailey. Let's see what her dirty dream is. Hey, lean close. I want to tell you about the most horrible dream I had last night. I was sucked up with a rocket at one of them space firing places and flung sprawling, mucky doop bang out into a strange new world. I got to talking to someone. Did you know that they didn't live like us at all? The kitchen in all of the houses had a lock on it. I mean a lock from inside. And whenever you wanted to eat, you went alone. So no one could see you when you took off your hat and bared your mouth. But that ain't the worst of it. They had what they called shit time, once a day, and 4 pee times, and often the bathroom was the biggest room in the house. Not the dining room, but the bathroom. The polite thing was for a family to sit down together, and especially shit times, they made a grand production. Well, I guess that even that ain't so bad, but they kept it in the family. Wonder what they did on Thanksgiving. But all the institutions had 2 large bathrooms. One for those wanting a 12 noon shit, and another for them that just wanted a pee. Well, I'll tell you, thank God our world knows which hole is the good one. And that's by Faith Bailey, whoever and wherever she is. Now, Florence Stires. We have Some Bare Facts. This is a rhyming poem, a good old-fashioned rhyming poem. Is there a difference between naked and nude? Is one acceptable and the other one rude? In art they refer to the naked as nude, and society doesn't consider it lewd. But didn't he paint her naked for sure? And does nude rather than naked make it pure? I know the lads down at the old swimming hole would burn from their head right down to the soul if anyone said they were swimming there nude. It's naked, stark naked. Nude would be prude. If you don't use pajamas, do you sleep in the nude or naked? But there's an out for you here. Dog, take it. Not using pajamas is called sleeping in the raw. And you'd be surprised how many there who do there are. To add to the confusion that seems to exist, did you ever know that anyone who didn't persist in calling those unclothed groups nudist colonies, did they have this trouble in the day of the Ptolemies? Now, there is a book I've read, The Naked and the Dead, and that Cubist thing, nude descending the stairs. Oh, it might be fun to exchange each one and change the bears from their lairs. And can't you just see the Broadway marquee and lights? Naked with violin. I'm sure from the start that it would be pure art, but wouldn't the police look in? So it all adds to this, the point that you can't miss. You're naked if you're nude, and if it's true vice versa, then as to which is worser, I'm not the one starting a feud. Thank you, Fletcher Stires Jr., whoever, wherever you are. You told us this in 1961. Yeah, one, Tuli's first zine. Currently reissued and for sale on the internet. Okay, now, this is a weird short story. Let's see, how much time do we have? We've just been reading for 16 minutes, so we have time. This is by David R. Bunch, and it's In the College of Acceptable Death. This is what it looks like. It's printed, typed on orange paper. Darn it. It was 12 easy little war years after a peace that I set up my very successful College of Acceptable Death. The courses were all jam-packed. We did it mostly by demonstration. We opened with people slicing closed copies of Dachshund's Nose first through standard bologna slicers, and over it all was the sound of agony from little things being squeezed, like mice in the grip of anvils, and cats were being sat on by heavy-hauling truck tires. Our slogans blasted the room in hot, compelling neons, and mottos by the hundreds danced and advised death. A butcher's case in the corner displayed fine meat cuts and a sign saying, "Don't forget that Ferdinand once had stomach trouble from daisies." Huh. Oh, this is funny, I suppose. Switched at horseflies in the summer afternoon and waited for cows that never came to the old watering tank by the hedge trees. Then a long bright sirloin was held aloft by 2 rubber bands in the display, and the hands kept flexing the steak in a most lascivious manner to the tune of a catchy butcher shop refrain that was saying, "Ferdinand is peaceful now. Ferdinand is peaceful. No more horseflies worry him. He forgets the deceitful cow." Huh, I guess this guy is being funny. It's kind of dark humor, I guess. "We will begin the classes. Order in the classroom," I yelled through all the speakers my room had. I danced up and down, rumpled my hair, and was ready to lacerate myself with sharp pencils to let my class see that I really was sincere and that I honestly wanted to begin the instruction. As they grew quiet, I stepped aside on the big stage while my assistants wheeled in the fire show. Let's see. A copy of Oil-Soaked Man strode quickly into a furnace that was all fire-glass sides, and as he exploded to cherry flame, his lips swept a white line of agony through bare parted lips, and while his hair vanished in a sudden poof, a grimace of utter pain surged his death-built grin. The shrieks came over the loudspeakers so that the ears of all were filled with a feel of burning. And when, near the end of his going out by fire, he got up from where he had fallen and, well, this is pretty radical for coming out of the 1950s, Tuli. Next we wheeled in a windmill-plated chamber that was all glass on all 4 sides, and we parked it across from a knife thrower who had a dark mustache and a grin of cold malignancy, while his look of confidence and the cool way he constantly flecked his long card-trick hands seemed to bespeak a deadly skill that was unarguable. When a rubber child got up from deep in the glass-sided chamber and started to run along a peaceful way with his red and pink striped "Play More" ball among the windmills, we filled the place with blades at the press of a switch. The windmills turned until they blurred and vanished, and oscillating they hacked the child to jelly blood, and bits in his innocence jig-jag back and forth, slice, slice, up and down, all but his head and the red and pink striped "Play More" ball. These bounced around the oscillating windmill and gave direction to the otherwise almost inevitable white performance, and gave the class audience, I believe, a kind of wild stick hope for the child's head and the ball. But I need not tell you, you know what happened. Yes, a small round window opened in the glass-sided chamber, and he started throwing those long stiletto blades, whoop, 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 at the child's head and the ball. Oh, this is pretty gruesome. I hope he's trying to be funny. He never missed. When he had a dozen or so slim blades neatly buried, expertly placed in the child's head and ball, he stood unwinding his slim black mustache, which he had trimmed to spell "Ha," smiling and bowing low to his audience, my class, which had collapsed now and lay wailing along the floor. He seemed especially malignant. "Was death so bad?" he asked. Let's see. Well, We were getting them ready. As a kind of cool relief from the warm action of the fire chamber, the windmill blades, and the hissing, hot stilettos, not to mention the sliced dachshund, the mice squeezed, and the cats sat upon, and Ferdinand waiting for cows, we gave the audience a cold show of suffering in the snow. In a month that, let's turn the page. In a month that looked like November, we had red hearts along drifted, snow-tall lanes until the chiseled setting looked like a misplaced mid-month of February misadventure. But it was not. It was what we had wanted, and the class audience picked itself up from where it had collapsed from the unrelieved horror of the windmill blades and the knife thrower. We loosed the snow scene to action. Young cardboard people with hot, unthinking gestures ran barefoot in the chiseled snow lanes to the hard places and found them to be not warm and meaningful hearts, not even boxes of candy. They found them to be what they looked to be, cold red paper hearts in a snowdrift. Let's see. But with one important addition, the hearts were backed with generous portions of sponges, and when the young people collapsed, the red heart sponges to the heart regions of their own agitated breasts, there began the terrible action of acids thawing. Sometimes there would be almost instantaneous sound of explosion, and a chest would blow fore windward and pat-pat to the snow, and more often it was just slow action of acid eating and people clasping the red, hungry, gnawing hearts, unable to fling them away until a hole that was almost half a chest big that gaped under unbelieving faces. Well, we're almost done. So if you want to know the end of this gruesome story, you have to get the Yeah box set. You have to get all these wonderful magazines that Tuli put out until 1965, and I'll be continuing to show them to you at another show. This is what they look like. What's inside, you have to find out. See you in another 2 weeks for another edition of Revolting News.